We live. Welcome to Waking Warriors, where we talk about life, love, lessons, and learning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't look at me.
So we missed last week. We were out in Colorado snowboarding, so that was fun. Tell us about your experience snowboarding.
Snowboarding?
Snowboarding.
It was good. It was definitely... I feel like I was still better than before. Like, I've made progress, but I still am boarding scared. So whenever I pick up, like, decent speed, I brake. And then when we get to areas where, like, you need that speed, I don't have it because I was, like, braking getting to that point. So then I'm, like, on these, like, flatter areas, like, or not making it. The one time I had to take my thing off and scoop my way up there.
I'm like a pro snowboard teacher now, I think. Professional snowboard teacher. Not in the sense of, like, meeting people's needs, but in the sense of, like, teaching them what they need to do. And then it's up to them. I give them the skill set, and then if they choose not to use that skill set, that's up to them, because I can't force you to... I can lead a horse to water, but I cannot make them drink. You know what I mean?
Well, and I, like, looking back, I mean, part of it you were right in the sense of, like, you definitely need speed. Cause
No,
you don't
all
have,
of it I was right.
No, because if you don't have enough speed, like, you're not, as a snowboarder, you're not going to learn how to catch your edge, which is literally the whole point of snowboarding.
You can't have an edge unless you're moving, basically, like, at a good rate, because,
right.
You know, because when you have an edge, it slows you down. Like, that's kind of the point of having an edge, is to slow you down. So you need so much speed in order to have an edge, otherwise you're just going to fucking fall down, basically. That's what it comes down to.
Well, yeah, and I mean, for me personally, when I don't have an edge, even if it's on, like, the slower areas, I'm like, so, I feel so unbalanced, because, like, you're not intentionally using an edge, so, like, your board will just catch them, instead of you, like, purposefully, like, having an edge.
Have just a slight edge, or you can have a deep edge.
Right. And that's what I need and that's what I was going to say. Going back to when you were teaching me, like, that's what I need to get more comfortable with, is learning, like, those slight edges and, like, being okay with that speed. Because I remember when I first started learning, I first learned how to brake, like, on my heels down a steepish hill. And that was like, okay, like, I know how to, like, brake down this hill. And then I was, like, nervous of, like, the toe edge, which now it's interesting because I'm, like, more comfortable on that, I think, at times. But I still very much board, like, brake, rather than, like, catch an edge, like, softer edges. I feel more comfortable, like, catching speed brake.
And there's sometimes that you just don't even need an edge because you don't need to slow down at all. So then you just learn to balance on the flat side of the board, just like this middle of the board, and you don't keep an edge at all. And so you just glide. But that is probably the most dangerous place to be, in my personal opinion, because you have two edges to catch and you're not on either one of them. So you have to find a nice balance dead in the middle.
Yeah.
And then, you have to kind of feel the ground as you're going through there to balance it out as you're, going down the hill. But, pro tip, if you want to learn to snowboard, now you could probably do the same thing with skiing, I'm assuming. I haven't learned to ski, but I can guarantee you that it's the same way, because essentially you just need an edge. Go find a very steep hill, not on the bunny hill, not on fucking anything green, like a blue or a black diamond, and learn to keep an edge, because it forces you to keep an edge. And then once you eventually learn to keep an edge and brake, then you can point your board down, and then you can brake again. And then you can point your board down and brake again. Point your board down the hill and brake again. And just keep flipping back the edges. So,
I did 2 360s. That took me like a minute to figure out.
That's basically when you're just flip-flopping edges. And that's a really good, my high school buddy taught me that. He's like, well, if you want to learn to switch edges really good, you just, like, do 360s. And, like, so you start on your strong side, when doing it, and then eventually you'll start reversing it and going back the other way, because it's just a transfer of edges. So you're going from, one side, and then you're turning, and then you're going to that edge, and then, you go again. You just keep going again, and flipping and flipping and flipping. So, it's not that hard to learn. I overcomplicated. I learned it in a day, but I definitely overcomplicated it. And I think if we would have went straight to the big hill, because by the end of the day, I went down the biggest hill that they had at Boyne Mountain. So, and I think that was due to I braked most of the way down it, of course, but I learned how to keep an edge because I couldn't get it on the bottom where they had like the bunny hill, like the. I don't know, where all the beginners learn.
Too flat and you don't get enough speed, which is valid. Because I was like scared when you first taught me, and I'm like, I want to go to the bunny hill and learn there, but like you don't get enough speed behind you to actually learn how to brake.
Yeah, a kid might, like if you're a really small child or something, but honestly, I'd still take a small child up to how I do it over that anyways, because I feel like it forces you to keep an edge, whereas, you don't have to keep an edge down there because there's no need. So. And then you just catch edges all the time because you don't need an edge because you don't have any speed, and then bam, you catch and then slam down on the ground.
Like the unintentional ones. Yeah.
So.
And then we went to like the tallest part that you can go to, so you take like 2 lifts up, and then once you get off that second lift, you still have to like walk up to the tippy top. That was atrocious for me getting down that, but I was like, I didn't want to do it. And then you're like, well, I'm gonna, and I was like, well, you can. And then I was like, ugh. Like, we're in freaking Colorado, in Breckenridge. We did it before when we visited, but I'm like, I need to just do it. It was exhausting walking up that thing.
Yeah, because it's a pretty steep incline in the snow with your board and your boots and
the altitude and, yeah.
So, well, anyways, I'd been pretty rough on my body the week before due to, sun and running and working and everything else and alcohol and all that jazz. So I've ordered off alcohol for the next 2 weeks, so we're good. I can already feel myself feeling better, to be honest, because it's just, my body was just over it. It had taken quite a beating, so I don't know how people do that all the time, like, no wonder you get sick all the time. You're just constantly drinking and kicking the shit out of your body, and then, like, oh, I'm fucking sick, and I feel sluggish and fatigued and tired, and fuck, dude. I mean, I'm high octane, and I can't even do it forever. Shit. So, but yeah. Anyways, this week's episode, if we agreed upon it, which I don't even necessarily know if we did, I was going to talk about one of her friend's posts. It was super interesting to me. Well, not interesting, but very relatable. So, long story short, I'll just read it. Public service announcement. Something that's really been bothering me lately when someone immediately gives their negative thoughts, experience, and unwanted input on, particularly, this is, her experience is pregnancy and parenting, or how mine will or won't be. But we'll apply this to life in general. Here are some examples. Good luck with traveling when your baby is here. Oh, you're eating that. You obviously haven't had heartburn yet. Just wait. Oh, you don't want a tablet. Let me know how that goes. I know it's my first time, but your experience isn't mine. The things I chose for myself and my family are not yours to shit on. I know it's not going to be all rainbows, sunshines. I don't care how to be around negative attitude towards your experience or on my experience. I'm sorry your experience wasn't positive, but that doesn't mean mine won't be. So this is just a warning. Mom is not going to only going to accept love and positivity and kindness in the newest journey. Anything less will be shut down. Peace and love. So,
I feel like you read that rough.
Yeah, I did. I'm challenged.
Basically, her experience is pregnancy, but she's like, she's pretty freshly pregnant, and she's already sick of people like putting their negative experience onto her upcoming experience. And yeah, so you wanted to apply that to life in general.
Yeah, so it's really interesting to me because everybody I feel like a lot of people accept subpar experiences. Like, for instance, if someone were to tell me, oh, you don't want a tablet, let me know how that goes. That's a really good one, because like, if I have children, they will not have a tablet. At least not on a regular basis. I won't say never, because I think that's, there's also positive reasons to give a child a tablet too, to recognize, things, and to learn how to use those devices, because unfortunately, whether we like it or not, it's going to be a part of our life in the future regardless. So they might as well use or learn to navigate these types of instruments, right? Tools. So I won't say never, because like I had a video game system, but it's very monitored. It's very limited. Because when I go out, typically I see children. It's very rare to see them without either a phone or a tablet, occupying them. Like, we just went out to dinner last night with my father, and literally sitting right next to us, the kid was probably like 7.
Yeah,
7 years old, little girl. Of course, she had a phone or a tablet there occupying her. She wasn't interacting with the parents. She wasn't, she had some other toys and stuff, but it seemed like her main attention was the tablet itself.
So they're sitting there at dinner, and she's just like not even engaged, not even like, like the parents are talking, doing their thing, and she's just sitting there like.
Yeah. So, like, and to me, like, just because you can't fucking do it and you're too lazy or incapable of, having a child and not letting them be on the phone, because to me, that's not parenting. Like, that is letting the tablet raise your child.
And I want to preface, obviously, we don't have kids, but this is our mindset. Again, if that is in our cards in the future, like, this is how we're going to go into it. And it sounds like, my friend specifically is also feeling that way when it comes to tablets. Like, yeah, we say that, and I'm sure parents out there are going to say, well, it's easy for you to say, and yeah, but we also are setting this intention now.
Yeah. Not to mention, I don't give a fuck what other people say. Just because I don't have kids, it doesn't matter. It does not matter whether I have kids or not. I was a child. I experienced this stuff. So, that's my flamboyancy. The fact is, like, we can look at our lives in a lot of different aspects. And I guarantee they will not meet up. Someone that tells me that, oh yeah, good luck having a tablet when you're a parent.
Not having a tablet.
Yeah. Well, let's fucking look at our bodies. Let's look at our bank accounts. Let's look at our fucking routines. Let's look at our marriages. I got no problem comparing whatsoever, because I'll fucking run most people into the ground as far as that shit goes.
Well, it's like she said, like, that may have been your experience, but it will not be mine.
Yeah.
Like, okay,
yeah, exactly.
Maybe parenting without a tablet is hard for you. Like, sorry, that sucks, I guess. But, like, that was your experience, so don't put that onto me and my experience.
Yeah, so don't, basically people always try to fucking put your capabilities down because they're not capable of doing it. Just because you're not capable of getting up to the gym every fucking morning has nothing to do with, me not being capable. Because I am capable, and I will do those things. So don't try to have your experience put on my experience. And you might say, oh, well, you don't have kids, so there's no time to get to the gym when you've got 5 kids. Bullshit, because I literally know people and are Facebook friends with individuals that have 5 kids and still make it to the gym extremely consistently, probably even more consistently than me. So, like, there's always an exception. There's always an outlier. Like, here's where the fucking, 50 percentile of people live, and here is where the 1% of people live. And I'm not 50 by any means, and I'm not 1% by any means, but I'm, in between, I'd say in the fucking 80th percentile, maybe. Depending on the conversation topic, of course.
It comes down to, like you said, like, be mindful of who you're getting your advice on. People will give you unsolicited advice, so keep that in mind. Like, without you even asking, people are going to give you their 2 cents. But that also, I think, like, who do you surround yourself with? Like, do you have a circle? And I know that she's very conscious about her circle, and so this is probably just people offering her advice that she's not asking for. But, like, are you around people who don't believe in your capabilities as a parent or a power lifter or a meditator? Like, or do you have people in your circle who are like, you know what? That sounds hard for me, but, like, you totally got it. Like, good for you. Or not even hard for me. Like, maybe they're just, like, in the same vein as you, and they're like, you know what? We're going to do this limited technology parenting thing together. Like, let's do this. Versus people who want to, like, shit on your experience and, like, make it seem like it's just going to be... I think, especially with kids in pregnancy, for whatever reason, like, people always want to point out, like, oh, pregnancy sucks, or this part's terrible, or having kids really put the damper on this, but, like, there's so much beauty in all of that, too. And, again, not just kids in parenting, but, like, anything that may be challenging or difficult. Like, there is a lot to learn, and there's a lot of beauty in that, too, and why don't we as humans talk about those things?
So, naturally talking, I think it's just easier to talk about the negative, because that's how... society is just negative, and people like to make excuses for each other. You know, like, oh, you're just fat because of this, or you're fat because of that, or you're broke because of this, or you're broke because of that. Like, no, you're fucking broke because you make poor choices. That's why you're fucking broke. You know, it has nothing to do with this, that, or the other thing. It's literally everything to do with you. So at the end of the day, you know, whether my kid uses a tablet or not, will be up to me as well. So... but yeah, a couple other examples was the traveling when your baby is here and eating that. You obviously haven't had heartburn yet, just wait and shit like that. You know, and there's ways to express your experience without basically labeling, or how do I want to word that? Without, like, commanding that onto them, because they're like,
to me, I feel like it's negative limitations.
Well, yeah, putting those
Like,
limitations on other people.
Express your experience without...
Yeah, because you can say, like, yeah, dude, I had pickles and, man, it fucking gave me heartburn. I'd be interested to know your experience. Or, you know, like, you know, I'm sure something will probably give you heartburn, you know, like, and even that's pretty negative, but, like, it's a little more open, I would say. You know what I mean?
And some of that stuff, like the food thing specifically, like...
it's stupid.
Well, and everybody's bodies are different. Like, I know that, like, she takes care of her, so she really probably can eat whatever the heck she wants, because she's not, like... she was mindful even before she got pregnant about, like, what she was putting into her body. So I'm sure now her body's still very open and receptive to foods that she was eating to begin with.
Yeah, for sure. But let's dive deeper into this overall, you know, because it's specifically about allowing other people... the conversation, in my mind, revolves around allowing other people to put limitations on your life. You know, and this just sparked it in my mind, because I'm just like, fuck you. Because if we all share the same experiences, then, you know, life would be pretty fucking lame. So, you know, we all have certain standards, I would say, that we allow in our life. Like, I will not allow, it's a standard that I will not allow my kid to, you know, have a tablet freaking...
free willy-nilly.
Yeah, free willy-nilly, or, you know, I am going to make them be conscious, eye contact, you know, intelligent conversation, pay attention, observe what's going around you,
use
people
your
watch.
Imagination.
Yeah, exactly, yep, that type of stuff.
And I think a lot of that comes down to, like, boundaries, because, like she said, like, maybe up until this point, she's been really loose with that, and, like, has been hearing a lot of this from other people, and she's like, from now on, like, that will not be tolerated.
And that's an interesting thing, too, because when you start to do that, you start to offend people.
Oh, for sure.
You know, that's the thing, and I think that's where I come off pretty abrasive, because I'm like, fuck you, I don't believe your fucking opinion. You know, or I don't respect your opinion, basically. Like, just because you can't, you know, make $1 million or make it to the gym every morning, it has nothing to do with me. So, you know, adding a child into the mix, or, you know, circumstances, whatever circumstance that might be, will not affect me as it does you, you know, because I hold myself to a higher standard. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Fuck, dude. My throat's like dry.
I think that's... easier for you. And again, I'm not like giving excuses, but like for somebody like me, like obviously we're two very different individuals, and so for you are just that way. Period. Like it's easier for you to be in that place of like, F you, I don't care what you're saying, has nothing to do with me. Versus me, I think things get in my head a lot easier.
Is that because of perspective taking? You think I'm a shitty perspective taker?
I do think you are, but I don't think that has to do with this necessarily.
Oh, I think that one has 100% has to do with relating. Or it has related circumstances, in my personal opinion.
But I don't feel like I'm taking on somebody else's perspective. I just think that my boundaries in terms of that stuff is... I don't know. I think for me it comes down to like more self-confidence type thing. Like you trust yourself to hold yourself to those higher standards and to be able to execute what you're saying, where I maybe don't. And so when these other people say these things, it gets into that insecure part of me and like feeds that. But
essentially someone's passing on their experience to you. And maybe that's why it's harder for me to get to the next level too, now that I'm thinking about it, because I have confidence enough to be where I'm at, but I don't have enough confidence to get to the next level because I'm not perspective taking, essentially. You know, like I can't take people's perspective. I can't embody them, I should say, because I can conceptually understand them. You know, because like if someone says something to me, I'm just like, well, that's, you know, what's something like, oh, once you get after 30, you know, your body really starts to, you know, you just won't have the time, and your body will start to look like shit because, you know, you get old and you decay and blah blah blah. You know, typically like 30's that thing, you know, that age. You know, there's like a societal thing around 30 that you hit, and that's when, you know,
everything's downhill.
Yeah, particularly because your body.
I had like a chest thing. I don't know, tweaked something, made something mad, and so I went to work and I was like talking about that because I like came home during the day, went back, and so then people are like, oh yeah, like that happens, like when you start getting older, blah blah blah, and I was like, I choose not to believe that.
Like, yeah, and I wouldn't purposely say this, but I'd be like, look at yourself. Like, of course that happens to you, but not to me. Like
there was like some other conversation around debt too, that like, oh, you can never get ahead. One of them literally said that, and I was like, that just made my body like cringe. Like, ew. Like, how can you live from that place? And again, that's her experience, and that's what I was gonna say too. I think certain topics are easier for me to have those boundaries and like, F that, like, what? But then there's other ones that maybe I take more to heart or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, all these things, it doesn't matter what the topic is. It's just, you know, people always want to put their own limitations on you. And I don't think they consciously do it. I
don't think so either.
It's like a tribe thing, right? So they want to, so from what I understand, people feel stronger in tribes, right? So if you got 5 guys in a group, right? And you're all overweight, and one day the 5th guy is like, hey man, I'm fucking sick of this shit. I'm so tired of being overweight. My wife never wants to fuck me. I'm always tired to, you know, play with my kids after work. And, you know, I'm always feeling slow and lethargic, and I'm just tired of it. And so he said, I'm going to fucking change my life. I'm going to start going to the gym tomorrow. I'm going to get jacked. And, you know, I'm going to completely change my life. Well, 4 other dudes are either going to do one of 2 things. They're either going to follow you, or they're going to basically talk shit about you, essentially, because, you know, subconsciously, you know, I don't think they're intentionally doing this. They could be too, but they're going to be like, oh man, you know, the fucking 5th guy he's getting stronger and whatever else, man, like, I want him to be back in our group. You know, I feel stronger if he's back in our group because he's more relatable. You know what I mean? So we're stronger if we have 5 rather than 4. And also on top of those things, that 5th guy is much less likely to be doing the same thing as the other 4. So then that scares them. And because it's abnormal to have this guy leave their group, because, you know, they've been friends for fucking years and shit, you know. So, you know, now this 5th guy is deciding, well, yeah, man, I'm not going to go out and drink tonight because I got to go to the gym. we all got time to go to the gym at the end of the day, whether that's in the morning or the afternoon. The reason I go to the gym in the morning, because I'm going to be tired by the afternoon and I'm not going to fucking get it done. I know myself. The way my lifestyle is created right now, I have to get everything that helps me personally done first. So I come first, and then I can start my day and, bust my ass for that kind of stuff.
To circle back to the 5 guys real quick, that's also why that guy who leaves is very likely to come back to that group, because he's now like an other. He's no longer belonging because he's like different than the group, and that's what keeps people like, because there's this underlying, we want to belong, we want to be a part of a community, we don't want to be like set off as like an outlier or an other. And so when you start to do things differently, that happens, and that part of your brain, mainly ego, that wants to keep you safe and safe and alive, will urge you back to that herd mentality, because it's safer to be with this than to be off on your own, doing your own thing, making your own life different. Even though we know that, like, if you are bettering your health, then everything else is going to benefit from that. But, like, the part of your brain, ego, says that that's actually, like, dangerous because you're breaking away from the pack.
Yeah.
And that's why I think, like, people give the advice, and it's not necessarily, like you said, maybe not intentionally to, like, tear you down or limit you, but it is from this place of, like, but if you go be different.
Fucking thing, man.
I was wondering about that, because I think, doesn't that happen every time you leave the app?
It shouldn't. Not that I know of.
Go to Facebook real quick.
Oh, whatever. Doesn't matter which one.
Well, clearly it does, because I got rid of all your stuff before.
No.
Anyway. Well, I got rid of it somehow.
My thing fucked up, so... Yeah.
I think we've talked about this before. I might be able to just pull...
Yeah, the audio.
Yeah. But I think that's why people give us like unsolicited advice, is because they do care about you, and they feel like if you start doing these things different than the herd, different than the masses, that you're going to be in danger. And so their like safety part of their brain is speaking at that point. Yeah,
for sure. So it's really interesting because here in South Dakota, I'm like the outlier here. Like everybody knows everybody. I think there's one other dude. Davin's probably an outlier too. And I don't know necessarily his experience because he came from a different state here to work with this community. But everybody knows everybody. So it's really, I'm trying to navigate everybody's relationships and everything else and be as authentic as I can. But like try not to offend and piss everybody off because I'm like, everybody's a bunch of pussies. Like I'm not in a position to be my fullest expression of myself all the time, I think, personally. Which is unfortunate.
But that's also a choice that you're making.
It's a choice that I'm making, yes, yep. Because I could be my fullest expression and I could offend people left and right and be like, yeah, fucking doesn't matter. But I think it's probably good for me to have a slight push-pull, to accommodate people.
To be able to figure out how to be tactful with your things.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, to be tactful about this stuff, about how I talk to people and what I say and stuff like that. Because these are all new relationships that I'm building. I might just say something, and I'm saying it out of love to a degree. Some things I am saying out of love. Because, if I say, listen, man, you're broke because of this, and this, I'm not judging or criticizing you, depending on who you are, of course. And I'm just saying it because I'm, trying to help you come to the realization of that. Because it doesn't benefit me. I'm not trying to necessarily put you down.
Is this person asking for your advice? This hypothetical person. Because you might fall in this category of all these people that are telling people things that they're not asking about.
I agree to an extent.
Which there needs to be a balance, though. Because depending on who that person is to you, to just let them go about their ways.
Well, yeah, if I'm supposed to be their friend and I'm supposed to be, helping them, then I need to have an honest, transparent conversation. These people are coming from a negative space. I'm not coming from a negative space. I'm trying to lift these other individuals up, but I am naturally abrasive. I'm not saying, oh, well, you're going to be fucking, it's so hard to get ahead. I'm saying, no, bro, you can fucking definitely get ahead. My intention is
head out of your ass, bro.
Yeah, my intention is to uplift individuals, rather than,
limit
you know,
them.
limit. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yep.
You're trying to
so
break
even
people
though,
from their own limitations rather than put them on them.
Yeah, exactly. Even though my advice may come unsolicited, right? Is that that it's positive, you know, and it might not sound positive because of my tactfulness of it. But at the end of the day, it's like, bro, you can do this. You can run 100 miles. You can lose 50 pounds. You can, you know, make 50 grand. You can insert here. You know, like, I don't have, it's so interesting because I go back and forth because I have certain limitations clearly. Otherwise, I'd be a fucking millionaire by now. And maybe things just take time, you know. But I don't believe that.
Maybe.
I don't believe that. There's plenty of fucking. I've done extremely well from where I came from the mindset, from financially, from relationship, like everything. I've done extremely well from where I came from to where I'm at now. There's nothing in my mind. But there have been people that came further behind me and that have done more before my age. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I think, like, obviously I have some mental blocks, just like everybody, because everybody does, but I have bigger mental blocks than what I think I should have. You know what I mean? So, you know, like, I should be a fucking millionaire by now. I'm 29 years old. Yeah, I should be.
Should.
Yeah. So I'm putting enough limitations on myself. I don't want anybody else's limitations. So when I hear someone putting a limitation on me and I know I'm already better than the limitation that they're putting on me, I don't fucking need that. You know what I mean? I already know my current limitations that I need to work on. I don't need you inserting your limitations on me. If anything, I want you to say, hey, you can fucking do better. Even if I'm not doing as good as that, which usually I only try to encourage people to do as good as I'm doing because I have personal experience. I'm not going to say go run 200 miles. Oh, you can run 200 miles, you know, if you've never ran fucking 100 or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, I'll probably, like, falsely say, like, you could probably run 200 miles, man. Like, but
physically it's probably possible.
Yeah, unless you're some sort of, like, fucking epic runner or something, and, you know, like, yeah, it's different if that's the case. Like, if that's, you know, because I can see the capability of you being able to do it, you know what I mean? So, but if you're coming from nothing and then, you know, expect to go there, don't expect me to be like, yeah, you can definitely do it, you know. But eventually you could do it. You're just not going to be able to do it this year. So, yeah. Let's recap real quick, because I feel like there's some few things that we need to hit on yet. But
and I feel like we've been all over.
Yeah, for sure. So, ultimately, don't allow other individuals to place limitations on you at all.
I had a thought earlier and then I forgot it, now I remember, but I can put it in the wrap up.
Okay. So, when people do that, it's typically out of scarcity. People will, you know, you're part of your friends group, like, you know, you guys all make that same amount of money, or you guys all, you know, have the same type of health, or have the same type of marriage, or single life, or whatever. And then, you know, if you try to break out from that group and do better for yourselves, your friends will, you know, unconsciously get concerned about that and, you know, naturally try to hold you back because of the scarcity that it creates, because we're all tribes and you're stronger with the tribes and so on and so forth.
I'm going to say it now, and this is just like a sprinkle. I mean, we talk about this often, but just being mindful of who's in your circle. Because some of that stuff will happen unconsciously, but if you have people who are consciously trying to grow and build you up, and you're building each other up, and you're, like, doing amazing things in life, like, this is going to happen less often. The, like, limitations and the negative advice and...
It's interesting because I was talking to one dude. I've got partners in the one thing, right? And I've had partners on and off, and partnerships are complicated, and there's just a lot of dynamics.
Can be complicated.
I
feel like saying partnerships are complicated is a limitation that you're putting on other people.
That's fine. partnerships can be complicated. So I was having a discussion with this other guy, and he's like, yeah, I believe in doing things solo. And I was like, that's an interesting concept. He's like, because I like the concept of partners, but because I think I want that support, essentially. I think I'm better off, at least in my mind right now, the current state that, I'm operating in. I feel safer with partners and partnering with people because I feel stronger. It takes some of the responsibility. It takes some of the, essentially the responsibility off of me in order to make the proper decision. Or whatever it is. Or maybe the financial side of things. I don't know. I feel safer doing a partnership. And this other guy was like, he's like, why would you want to partner with somebody? He's like, I don't know. It's just me. He's like, because I understand where you're coming from. He's like, but for me, I prefer to operate on my own. Because he's like, then I have full control of everything. He's like, there's no, should I do, or can we do this, and asking if I can do that, or, conversating on whether I can do this or that. You know what I mean? I don't have to, all the decisions are single-handedly me. And I'm like, fuck, apparently I don't have enough confidence in myself, whatever that is, because I prefer right now to be in partnerships. I was like, okay, cool. Because it turned something up. It shined a light on a blind spot, I think, when we were just having that conversation, because I was like,
I feel like for you, and I could be wrong, but that it's more of like a financial piece that you feel safety in. Because otherwise, when there's no money involved, you want to do everything on your own because F everybody else and nobody knows what they're doing. And
yeah.
I think it's just when there's like a financial piece involved, you're like, at least like spreads the risk, or,
Yeah, yep.
Because financials for you is a big piece of what makes you feel safe.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely have a limited beliefs around money or scarcity around money to some degree. That holds me back. So.
Anyway, though.
But yeah, so I just thought that was interesting because basically what I'm getting at is if you ride solo, those people will not have the opportunity to hold you back. But that comes in a special place, like for a special individual. Like I'm not to that point, so I wouldn't expect anybody else to, but I can show you people that are to that point. You know what I mean? So, yeah. I didn't even think I told you that.
Mm-mm.
I didn't even think about it. It was kind of one of those in passing things. I was like, that makes sense. Because he'd just been like, why would you want to be in a partnership? And I was like, okay. Because what I said to him is you can move faster, farther, faster in partnerships. If the partnership goes right, because you've got you can all bite a piece of the elephant at the same time. You know what I mean? You don't have to eat it all yourself. You can have this guy do this because he's good at that, and then I'll do this because I'm good at this. You know what I mean? So we all have skill sets to offer, and there's a lot of times where I'm like, fuck that, like the techie shit, like the social media stuff. Fuck, I'm just like, ugh, so annoying. But I wish I was good at TikToks, and I could do, I wanted to do TikToks because there's so much value in them, So, yeah, and I think a lot of our limiting beliefs come from family, of course, and that's where you were raised. So if your parents are overweight, odds are that you're going to be overweight because of your belief, And there's a small percentage of genetics and stuff like that play a part of it, but it's mostly influence. Same thing with money. If you think money's dirty and it's hard to raise and hard to get and you got to work hard for it, then that'll probably be your experience in life is that. So what are some of the limiting beliefs that people try to put on you?
None. I'm awesome. Stop.
I think the kid thing is definitely a thing for me. I think I don't hear it a ton, but I see it in other people that I feel like they want to put it on me. I don't know if they...
I mean the kid thing.
Like when you have kids, like,
Oh.
you don't have time to work out, or you'll use a tablet and stuff like that. Like, no, like, or you'll go fast food more because you won't have time to, do all that stuff. And I feel like my own personal limiting belief is around money. I think that's my toughest personal limiting belief.
Mine's definitely around my self-confidence, self-trust,
self-worth. Confidence is...
Self-confidence equals self-trust?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't have a lot of trust in myself to do things. But a lot of that comes down to codependency too, which we've talked about.
Yeah. I think a lot of that also has to do with not showing up for yourself. The thing about self-confidence is that it's easy to build. It's simple to build, I should say. I should rephrase that and say it's simple to build. All you have to do is say you're going to do something and then do it. Like going to the gym every morning. Or because when you start doing that, you're like, fuck yeah. Like, I can do this. Like I'm 42 days straight in the ice bath.
Literally, I've been distracted. I think it might be the caffeine, but I'm already ooh, I'm going to get in the ice bath today. I was thinking that earlier.
Why are you trying to keep up? Someone trying to set the pace?
Well, when you got in there yesterday, I was like, oh, I should still be doing that. And then I even thought with this, I'm like, that would surge my body with healing stuff because it thinks it's dying.
Yeah, essentially. Yeah. I like to take this time to reflect on my life.
When you're in the ice bath?
No, this moment now.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know. I say my biggest fucking limitation is around money. Through and through. I don't have that I can make a ton of money yet confidence.
Well, I think, I don't know. I don't think it's just in your ability to make money. I think whatever it is, it's pretty deep because even when you have an abundance, you still are this isn't enough.
Well, as of recently, probably since we moved here, I've been feeling pretty good. But we have a shit ton of money in the bank account. So it's just but that's so superficial, you know what I mean? That's so...
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. That's why it probably goes deeper than just your ability to make it. Because for whatever reason, the big amount feels safe. Which, yeah.
Yeah, I need to find ways to make more money. That's for damn sure. And I think I just want to find them faster. I'm just faster. Because I'm used to getting large sums of money, selling cars and fucking doing deals and all kinds of shit. I just get
selling houses.
Yeah, 10 grand, 20 grand, 50 grand, just throwing my fucking lap here and there. And now I'm just fuck, I haven't had that in a real long time. A real long time. So
6 months?
Yeah, that's a fucking long time, dude, for me. For how long that I was just getting large sums of money. Every couple months I'd be getting fucking large drops of money. I'd go for a very long time of not getting any money. And then I'd just be there's, 15 grand.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I was there.
I know. So, that was always nice.
It's just different now.
It's definitely different. I don't like it. I like getting the large sums because it's like a dopamine hit for me. It's
But you love your little dopamine whore.
I am. But, and let's talk about that real quick. Since we're just talking about we jumped into putting allowing other people to put limitations on you, but limitations on yourself, creating self-illnesses, identities and stuff. Oh, we'll just save that for identities.
Yeah, that's a totally different. I feel like you've already been rabbit traily weird. It's like a mosh posh. Smorgasbord of an episode.
So, because other people will put limitations on you, and then you put limitations on yourself. But limitations on yourself leads into our next episode, which is identity, you know. So, limiting beliefs and, you know, who you are. You know, like, oh, well, you know, my parents were overweight, so I'm overweight, and that's just who I am, and, you know, shit like that. People who identify with their sicknesses, and I don't even know if we talked about, I think we have touched base on that. So, but anyways, we'll wrap this shit up. Go ahead and like us on Instagram, or like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, ring the bell on YouTube, and all that jazz. So
share, even though again I feel like this episode was kind of all over the place, but hopefully there were some helpful nuggets.
It was all over the place, but I feel like we touched on a lot of quality stuff, because I feel like most people don't recognize the tribe side of things because you're just so in it, you know. Like, I feel like conversations like these, like, shine a light on the pictures. So like, there's different levels of consciousness, you know. Mm-hmm. So like, you're in the movie, and then you're watching the movie, and then you're up in the thing watching him watch the movie, be in the movie, you know what I mean? So
I do know what you mean.
NLP, baby. That's what that specific example came from, but then I kind of just, I didn't come up with, but something instilled with me, like, that's how levels of consciousness work, and emotions and everything else.
My brain connected it.
Yeah, my brain made the connection, or inner, what's that? The oneness, the...
Inner...
No.
You said it.
The fuller, the one consciousness, the, you know what I'm talking about? The consciousness pool.
Like mass consciousness?
No.
Or like...
I don't know. Basically, like, God gave it to me. Just the pool of consciousness.
Well, yeah, like where everything is...
Fuck, dude. So over his dry-ass throat. Anyways, we're calling it quits because I can't think of the word, and that's about it. In a couple weeks, we'll be leaving for Mexico, and I highly doubt we'll be doing an episode. Maybe we'll go live, just on our phones or something.
I thought about doing that when we were on our way back from Colorado, but then you were just mad because I was driving the speed limit, and so.
You said that was the last 2 hours, or the last hour.
I don't know. I forgot about it.
Yeah.
But I did think about it prior to leaving.
Anyways, that's it. We'll see you guys later. See you guys
Bye.
probably next week about identity. Remind us. Cool. Bye.